Today, as part of our series on seafood cooking tips and techniques, we're going to learn how to get a perfect sear. So there are a lot of terms for cooking food in a skillet. So there's pan roasting, pan frying, but we're looking at pan searing, which is cooking in a small amount of oil over medium-high to high heat to achieve that really golden, crispy crust. You want to make sure that your fish is really, really dry. So you want to make sure you pat it dry on both sides really, really well. Even like a 10 to 15 minute brine will draw out some of that excess moisture, which is what keeps the fish sticking to the pan. You know what's even better is like 15 to 30 minutes in the refrigerator uncovered so that the surface gets really nice and dry. So you want to make sure that you reduce as much moisture as possible before it goes into the pan. I'm using a carbon steel skillet, which is really nice and sturdy, and that's the key, to have a nice, sturdy, even heat all across the bottom of the pan. Cast iron is great, stainless steel is great. Non-stick is fine, but you shouldn't really heat it very much past medium heat because of the fumes that can build up in excess heating. I'm heating it on medium-high heat until it's really hot. So if you hold your hand over it, you can hold it for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then you'll know that it's hot enough to start adding your oil. So I'm using avocado oil, which has a high smoke point, which means that it's not going to break down when it gets really hot. You don't want to use extra virgin olive oil because it has a low smoke point and it can get very acrid when it gets overheated. So I've got a piece of salmon. It's been brined, so I don't need to season it with salt, but I will season it with pepper on both sides. And I'm going to add it. You can hear it, it's sizzling. Add it to the skillet, move it around a little bit, and then let it go. Press it down with your spatula so that the surface makes contact with the pan. Sometimes if you don't, then you get that sort of like little concave bit in the center and only the edges get brown. So I'm going to let this go. This is a thin piece of sockeye. So it's only going to be probably 3 to 4 minutes on the skin side, another minute or less on the flesh side. One of the things that you want to look for is golden brown crust forming around the bottom edge, and that the flesh starts to become a little bit more opaque about halfway through. That means that it's almost ready to turn. And you'll notice that when the fish is ready to turn, it releases very easily from the pan. All it takes now is a flip and a few seconds on this side to get it to set the flesh. If you like it medium rare, like a minute or so. If you like it rare, just like 30 seconds. I like it a little bit on the rare side, so I'm taking it out now. The underside is just slightly cooked. It's still a little bit gelatinous on the inside, but done. And then flipping it over, you can hear how crispy it is. It's really crispy and beautiful. So that's for salmon. So here's a fun hack that I found on the internet. For any of you who are like worried that your skin or your salmon is going to stick to the skillet, use a piece of parchment paper, oil your parchment, and then put your fish directly on the parchment. And it'll protect it. It'll keep it from sticking if your pan is too cool, or burning if your pan is too hot. It's a really fun little trick. Okay, so now it's ready to turn because it's nice and opaque around the edges and a little bit golden, and you can see the edges here are opaque. So just give it another quick flip, and there you have it. It's done. For something like albacore tuna that is wonderful on the very rare side, you only want to give a sear for about a minute on either side. So sometimes it's shaped like a triangle. Sometimes it's a little flatter, more like a fillet, but you want to do a minute on each 3 sides. So again, a little bit of oil. This is also sat in the fridge for about a half an hour so that it's really nicely dry. And then you'll just press it down, let it make contact with the pan. It's not going to curl up or anything, not like a flatter fillet, but you want to make sure that it's got contact all around. It's releasing from the pan really nicely, so it's ready to turn. And I'm gonna put it on its second side. Give it another minute or so. If you like your tuna cooked a little bit more well done, certainly go for 2 minutes per side. But I think our albacore is absolutely delicious when it's really pink and rare in the center. So now, looks like this side is ready too. And now I'm gonna cook it on its third side. And then let it sit for maybe a minute or so. Okay, it's seared perfectly on all 3 sides, and you can see that it's still very rare in the center. I'm gonna let it sit for a minute or so before slicing. That makes it actually easier to slice if you let it sit a little bit for the juices to reabsorb. So here's our beautiful piece of tuna. Let's cut into it and we'll see how perfectly seared it is on the outside, yet rare on the inside. And see how nicely it slices once you've let it sit for a few minutes? It's beautiful. A little drizzle of olive oil, sprinkle of finishing salt, and you have a perfectly seared, beautiful piece of albacore tuna. So here we have 2 examples of pan-seared fish. Albacore tuna and salmon fillet with a crispy skin. 3 takeaways. First, make sure your fish is really nicely dry. Pat it dry, let it sit in the fridge for 15 to 30 minutes uncovered. Then make sure your pan is really nice and hot before the fish goes in. Adding oil and watching it shimmer around the edges, that will indicate perfect heat. And then while you're cooking, keep an eye on how hot your pan is getting and adjust the heat accordingly. So if you remember those 3 takeaways, you'll have perfectly seared fish every time. For more great recipes, inspiration, ideas, just visit the website, go to the culinary pages. Until next time, thanks for watching and stay wild.